Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 33 of my weekly live Q&A. My name is Danny Segura, and you are looking a bit of a different setup here. Last week, we didn't have a live Q&A because I was temporarily relocating to South Florida. So, because I was driving down from New York, I couldn't have a weekly live Q&A. But I told you guys I would do it the following episode, and here I am. So I am, or the following week, I should say. So I'm living up to the hype or whatever, to the promise that I said I would do. So, anyways, a couple things here today. We're doing it at 10 a.m., not 10:30 a.m. Had to switch things around. Have some stuff to do later today. So it wasn't gonna work out if I did it at 10:30. So, but usually every Tuesday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, you can find me on this very own channel. And outside of that, let's see what else. A couple of people might want to wonder about this a little bit. So that is a random UFC poster, or it might seem to many, but to me it has a little bit of significance. And I'm gonna do some stuff right here on this side as well, so it looks a little bit more interesting, a little bit fuller here. But the reason why I wasn't able to put a background on before, when I was in New York with my New York setup, was because it just wasn't possible. I needed that area to be clear. So I know a lot of people were always like, yo, what's up with that white background? Put some stuff behind it. But I couldn't do it. So now I can. So now you see this, and or this, I should say, and a few other things are coming. Also, a couple things. Please subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up. Also, the super chat is open. If you want to give some donations to support this channel, you can. And yeah, lastly, as I was saying, I was explaining a little bit about this poster. This is actually the first UFC event I ever attended as a fan, not as a media member. First ever. I was a huge MMA fan before becoming a reporter for the sport. I'm still a fan, obviously, but things change over time. And then this was the first event that I ever went to. And it was actually not far from here, just a few miles from the location that I'm shooting this live in. At the BB&T Center. This is when the flyweight division was inaugurated, and they had a 4-man tournament. This was the semi-final between Demetrius Johnson and Ian McCall. The poster signed by both. Here, Ian McCall, and then Demetrius Johnson up here. So it has a little bit of significance to me because it was the first event that I ever went to. So that's kind of cool. I got it signed by both fighters. I'm a huge fan of the flyweights, as you guys may know by now. And yeah, it was just a cool poster. So I know it's not like UFC 100 or some crazy poster like that, but I don't know. It's got a little bit of significance. So I thought I would throw that one up. And I got a few others. So yeah. So anyways, hope you guys are digging my Florida setup. Let's get this thing started. Not a whole lot of questions via Twitter, but as you guys know by now, the way this works, you submit questions via Twitter, and you can also submit questions via the YouTube live chat. So first, I will address the Twitter questions, and then I will go over to the live chat. So if you got questions and you didn't get to submit some on Twitter, throw them in the live chat, and I will get to them in the later part of this video. Sounds good? So let's get this started. The first question is by Michael Terrell. This is a good question. He asks, if Jorge fights Nick Diaz instead of Nate, who does Nate fight, assuming this will be without an audience? So, to your question, there aren't many options for Nate Diaz. There always are a bunch of options for Nate Diaz, but as far as the type of fights that he wants to be involved in, it's usually the Connors, usually a title fight, or Jorge Masvidal, really. Outside of that, I'm sure he would take one with George St. Pierre, but he's looking for super fights. So there wouldn't be many options for him if he were to not fight Jorge Masvidal. What would you do? Really, it'd be the Connor trilogy. That's it. That's all he has left. And that's about it. The Anthony Pettis, that was a former world champion. Anthony Pettis, pretty big name in the sport, and also he needed that to sort of unlock these other fights as well. So I don't know if there's someone also like the level of Anthony Pettis. Maybe not an A side, but a B side of that magnitude. I don't know if there's any at this point in in the welterweight division. Maybe someone like Robbie Lawler, maybe someone like that. Maybe he'll be down to fight someone of that caliber. I'm thinking of somebody at 155. To be honest, I feel like that's about it. So he has very limited options. So I don't know. But it looks like everything's pointing towards Nate Diaz fighting Jorge Masvidal for the rematch. So it looks like that's what's going to go down. To be honest, it's a fight that I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, it's right after the fight, I was there in November at Madison Square Garden. I was covering that event. I remember right after the fight, I was like, yo, like there needs to be an immediate rematch. That just seemed to be what everybody wanted. And then, reporters, we asked Dana White, like, yo, should we see an immediate rematch between these two? And he was like, nah. He kind of shut down the idea. But anyways, but then, it just seemed like it made so much sense. But then after some time removed, and then, kind of looking at that fight back, I think we were all looking at that fight a little bit on I don't know what would be the word exactly. I don't want to say our perception was skewed, but certainly the whole BMF belt, the whole anticipation. I mean, it was just the BMF belt. So it just felt like, dude, there needed to be a finish. Like, this thing cannot get stopped by a cut. So the focus on that kind of took away from actually Masvidal's performance. And but if you look back at the fight, I mean, Nate Diaz didn't really have anything going on there. The only thing I would say is that Nate Diaz had fought, I think, like 5 weeks, maybe 6. Let me double check. He had fought Anthony Pettis not long before that. So, he had those nasty cuts from the Pettis fight. The Pettis fight wasn't an easy fight. I mean, that first round, he got lit up. And all of a sudden, he was back in a training camp getting ready to take on a guy like Jorge Masvidal. So it was a tough situation, So, yeah, he fought Anthony Pettis on August 17th. November 2nd, he was fighting Jorge Masvidal. So, to be honest, he needed a lot more time, but the UFC wanted a big fight then. Remember, there was failed negotiations at the time with Kamaru Usman, so the welterweight champion. So they just needed that fight. It seemed a little bit rushed, but, now some time removed, I'm not going to say that Nate Diaz is going to win. I'm not going to say that Jorge Masvidal is not going to dominate, because I feel like he is. But certainly having a little bit of a break, having a better training camp, a much more time to prepare for the fight, physically being recovered from combat, I think obviously it's points on Nate Diaz's favor. So I don't hate the fight. Like some others I saw complaining about it on Twitter. I don't love it. But I think once the fight gets closer, once we see a little bit of build-up, I don't know what kind of build-up it'll be, but given this whole pandemic. But I think we will start to get excited for that rematch. And look, if there ends up being a win for Nate Diaz, shit, you got a nice trilogy fight right there, one of the biggest in the sport. So you never know. You never know what can come out of it. So we'll see what happens there. And as far as Nick Diaz, I'll touch on this real quick. Actually, no, I see some people asking about it on the YouTube live chat. So I'll save my thoughts on Nick Diaz when we get to the YouTube live chat portion of the program here. So let's tackle question number 2. This question is by Parzival, and he asks, do you think the light heavyweight title will change hands a few times, or do we see a contender at 205 pounds grabbing it and holding it for a while? Fantastic question. I love it. Frankly, I think a lot of people are not thinking about this or not even talking about it. We're used to seeing dominance at 205. One second. We're used to seeing dominance at 205. I mean, Jon Jones has been champion since 2011. And yes, he had a few mishaps here and there. And Daniel Cormier he stepped in and took the title and kind of reigned that division for a little bit. But really, it's really been all Jon Jones since 2011. Cormier could be, I mean, I don't want to take anything away from him. I don't want to call him an interim champion, but it kind of felt like that because Jon Jones never lost and Jon Jones beat him. So, yes, you were the champ. Yes, you won cleanly. Yes, you beat extremely tough opposition. But, Jon Jones was still the man in that division. It was as simple as that. So anyway, so we were used to seeing dominance at 205 pounds. And prior to that, I mean, Shogun had the belt, right? And then at that point in time, that was the golden era of the UFC's light heavyweight division. I think we've never seen anything like it. I mean, shit, I can just sit here and read you names for days: Shogun, Machida, Dan Henderson, Forrest Griffin, Rampage Jackson, Vanderlei Silva, Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, Rashad Evans. Who else am I missing out here? I mean, there's so many. There's so many legends in that weight class, right? That were just constantly fighting and trying to rip each other's heads off to win the title. And yeah, it was fun. It was just big names all around the division, and there was competitiveness all throughout. And that was truly the golden era of the UFC's light heavyweight division. And it was just amazing. And then from there, we saw Jon Jones take over. It was still very good. And then over time, dominance became a little boring per se. I mean, it was just Jones defeating everyone easily. And I know the last few fights with Thiago Santos and Dominic Reyes are a little bit different, but still, I mean, it's safe to say if you're going to sum everything up, yes, Jon Jones has probably had a couple hiccups here and there as far as his performances, but overall, you could say it's a dominant reign. And this time around, with Jon Jones gone at 205 pounds, I really do think that we're gonna see that. I mean, there obviously isn't the names because there isn't that Pride merger, so I don't think it'll be UFC's 205-pound division golden era 2.0 or anything like that. But certainly, I do think that we're gonna get a lot of good fights out of this. We're gonna get the belt switching hands constantly. I mean, if you just look at the top, Jan Blachowicz, right? Glover Teixeira, Dominic Reyes, Thiago Santos. I mean, you pair those guys up, you're gonna get different results every single time. It almost feels like, at least to me. So I definitely expect that belt to be changing hands constantly, and I think that's actually gonna be fun. I think it's Jon Jones leaving the division is probably one of the healthiest things that could have happened to the 205-pound division. It allows fresh matchups. It allows new title fights. And it allows opportunities for people that had lost to Jon Jones. That's pretty much the entire division. An opportunity to fight for the belt again without it seeming kind of like a repeat, or without it being like some sort of long campaign of like a fight win streak to get back to the title or anything like that. So I do expect the light heavyweight title to be changing hands, to be quite honest. I think... Man, I mean, I don't even know who to pick between Reyes and Blachowicz. To be honest, I feel like everyone's going to be going with Reyes. That kind of seems to be the feel in this one. But I'm very high on Jan. I really think he's a fantastic fighter. So I actually sided with him a little bit. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if Dominic Reyes were to win. I expect Thiago Santos to beat Glover Teixeira. But Glover Teixeira is still a very tough man, a very tough individual, a very skilled individual. So... you never know. He can surprise people there. Maybe he challenges for the belt. But I expect Thiago Santos to win that. And, I give Thiago Santos a very good chance against Reyes or Jan. So, to me, that belt's going to be changing hands quite often. And it's going to be fun to watch. Dominance gets boring, man. Unless you start mixing things up, unless you start, doing Valentina Shevchenko and head-kicking opposition into oblivion, then that can be a little bit fun. But even then, over time, dominance gets boring. You want to see the best get beat, essentially. So, yeah, it's going to be fun to watch. Great question, by the way. I don't feel like a lot of people are talking about the turmoil that we could potentially see at 205 in the near future. All right, the biggest hater on this program is back, 8 Paths of Wokeness. And back at it again with a Dustin Poirier question. His favorite fighter, and he asks, rumors are Tony versus Dustin, but rumors on top of rumors is there will be co-main of Khabib versus Justin. Should Tony versus Dustin be a 5-rounder? It has to be. What a missed opportunity for the sport and fans if it's just 3 rounds. So I disagree with you here, a passive wokeness, like usual. So from an action standpoint, I get where you're coming from, and I totally understand what you're saying. Like, in a vacuum, if they were going to ask me, okay, would you rather see 15 minutes of Dustin Poirier versus Tony Ferguson, or would you rather see 25 minutes? I'm going to go with 25 minutes. However, um, we do gotta think about both these fighters and the division beyond just their fight. So I think it's actually better to have them on the same card and have it be a 3-rounder. So unless they're fighting for a title, it can't be a 5-rounder unless it's main event, right? But I would say it's actually really good to have them on the card because you want that division to start developing. You want that division to, I mean, there was just an interim belt in place. The champion was out for a while. Tony Ferguson couldn't get a title shot in decades. It just felt like that division has been a little bit in slow motion, has been a little bit stuck. You see over divisions, in other divisions, you see title defenses like that. Boom, 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 boom. Lightweight, because of the bigger fights that have been available, obviously that slowed things down because you just can't have a big fight in a few weeks, right? You have to have it a nice build up, a nice promotion because it's good business. There's also been freak injuries, a huge line of contenders, etc. So you ideally want to get that division going. You want to get it flowing. And to do that, you want to align the number one contenders timetable with the champions. Because let's say you made that Dustin Poirier fight versus Tony Ferguson, I don't know, a couple months after the title fight, or even a month, not even that long. It's still going to be delayed because the champion's going to be waiting for the number one contender to be ready. However, if you do put them on the same card, they're going to be right on the same timeline and they'll be ready to, they'll have, the recovery will be aligned. Obviously, not 100%. Each fighter will probably take different type of damage throughout their fight. But eventually, more or less, their timeline will sort of match. So that's one reason why you would want that fight on that card and sacrifice not having 5 rounds and have 3 instead. The other reason is because, dude, Dustin Poirier has been in some nasty wars. Same thing with Tony Ferguson. So you kind of want to leave a little bit in the tank for when whoever wins gets to a position where they can challenge for the belt again. I mean, you can't be in constant 5-rounders, constant wars. I mean, you can, but it's going to take a toll on your health. You know what I'm saying? And essentially your longevity in the sport. So I think for the health of these two athletes is best that they fight for 3 rounds because we know historically the type of punishment, not even to the level of punishment that they dish out over the course of X amount of time. So ideally, you would want to turn that down a little bit. And look, I guarantee you, just a 3-round fight is gonna be amazing. So yeah, it's gonna be great. So I get it. I know why you want to see 25 minutes of that fight. In the perfect world, I want to see that too. But given the timetables of contenders and champions, and also given both athletes' health and past, and also the amount of damage that they can dish out, it's best to keep it a 3-rounder. So I think the UFC, if they do indeed put it on the same card of Gaethje Khabib, or Khabib Gaethje, which I think that's UFC 255. I think it makes perfect sense. So I'm all for that. Good question, though. Good question. But you're wrong, A Passive Wokeness. You're wrong. The Seaside. Which matchup was the most surprising this year? I haven't even thought about it. Which matchup? So not which result, which booking has been the most surprising? That is a great question. I would say I don't know. That is a good question. If anybody wants to throw some suggestions on the YouTube live chat, I'm reading now. What matchup has been the most surprising this year? I would say, in a way, a little bit, Francis Ngannou versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik. I felt like, the situation, the title picture at heavyweight would have gotten resolved, and then Ngannou would have gotten the next shot. I don't think, I don't think Ngannou should have fought that fight, or not should have, because he obviously won and it did great. But I don't think he needed to. I think it was pretty clear he was number one contender. So that was a little bit surprising, but I think over time it became a little bit more obvious given the fact that the trilogy between Stipe Miocic and Daniel Cormier kind of dragged out. But I wouldn't even say that's even most surprising. Nicholas Thompson here suggesting Dominic Cruz versus Henry Cejudo. Yeah. That was pretty surprising. Shit, I'm going to say Frank Edgar versus Pedro Munoz. I didn't really think Frank Edgar was going to fight out at 135 pounds. Not because he couldn't, but because that dude has been historically stubborn to lose weight. I feel like he kind of takes offense. I don't even know if that would be fair. But I think maybe there's like some sort of pride that like, or maybe he just doesn't want to be that small. And I kind of get it. Like, cause like I remember when he was at 155 and people would ask him to go down to 145, he's like, nah, like I'm good at 155. Like, what are you talking about? And then when he dropped to 145, people wanted him to go down to 135 and he's like, nah, like I'm competitive here. I'm like fighting for belts. Like I'm good, kind of like, I feel like maybe he thought like people thought that, that were saying that he wasn't good for the weight class, and it was kind of like a way of proving them wrong or something. I don't know. But so yeah, anyways, that was surprising that he actually at 38 years old, he eventually got to 135 pounds. So I would say that matchup was surprising. And if I could throw another one out there, shit, Betch Correa's fighting someone. I don't even know who's fighting. I thought she was cut. Who's she fighting? That was surprising. Let's see here. Yeah, she's fighting Wu Yanan. And I thought they had released her, and I guess they brought her back. So that was surprising. I thought she was gone from the promotion. So yeah, I would say that one would be at the top. I love Betch Correa, by the way. She's great for the sport. All right. This is the last question. Yes. This one was a weird one. Dave Y, Florida man, aka Nabi Buckles. He says, how do you prepare for an Iron Maiden concert? So I'm actually not an Iron Maiden fan. I obviously know who they are. I've listened to a few of their songs. I've never been into metal. I think if you're trying to get pumped up or something like that, like, I mean, if the songs are playing, if Iron Maiden's playing, I don't mind it. I think it's fine. I think it's actually decent music. Like, I don't think it's bad in any way. I'm just not like a fan of it. I don't listen to it. I'm more of I listen to more of chill things. I don't like on my ear 24/7. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, but I'm guessing a lot of moshing. So you want to be in shape, I would assume. You want to be ready to throw down, ready to push, ready to get shoved. You want to have a good base. You want to have good calves, good quads, so you don't get thrown around. I love moshing. I've been, well, not now because of the pandemic, but I've been to many hip-hop concerts, festivals, and, there's a lot of moshing there as well. People don't realize it, but there is. I think that's kind of stolen from the metal culture. And I very much appreciate moshing. It's a fun thing. I actually hurt my knee once moshing. One time I was in a really crazy mosh. It was I went to Rolling Loud. I don't know if you guys know what Rolling Loud is. Now it's gotten pretty big and kind of bougie and expensive. But I went to the very first one, which was at a warehouse in Miami. It was like a bunch of warehouse connected. It was raining, and it was the first year, so it was like not really. It was very raw. I would just say that. It was very disorganized. And anyways, I saw like a bunch of really cool hip hop artists. And anyways, there was A$AP Ferg was on, and when he played Shaba, and we were all in this warehouse, and it was like hot as balls because it's Miami, obviously. Everyone was sweating, and it was raining, so it was humid as shit. And people in Miami tend to be pretty fit here. Like everybody likes to work out and get jacked. It's like an obsession, like a Miami obsession. And yeah, dude, that A$AP Ferg mosh was pretty wild. It was pretty crazy. I think that's when I fucked up my knee. I was like limping for like a few days, but it was fun. It was fun stuff. So I'm guessing the same way. You hydrate, you get some drinks while you're there. Make sure you're having a good time, and yeah, be ready to throw down. All right, so that does it for the Twitter questions. Now I will address things over at the YouTube live chat. So again, if you're just tuning in, remember, thumbs up, subscribe. The super chat is open, so if you want to donate, you can. And yeah, now is your time to throw questions on the YouTube live chat because I will be addressing those now. All right, so Alex Howie asks, who should Leon Edwards fight? Wait, what? Should Leon Edwards' next fight be against Wonderboy? So yeah, a lot has been made of what should follow, what should be next for Leon Edwards. Poor Leon Edwards, man. The guy has done his job. He signs a contract. He shows up, doesn't pull out, fights someone, and beats them. That's his job, and he's been doing his job quite well. And he still hasn't been able to get any type of title shot or any type of solid fight. So let's pull up Leon Edwards' record here. Yeah, he's just had bad luck too. He was finally going to get that big fight as he was going to take on former champion Tyron Woodley, and this was him coming off losing his belt, so it would have been big, right? A win over Tyron Woodley then means a lot more than what it means now because we've just seen him not be all that great in the cage. Obviously he only has one fight since with Gilbert Burns, but still he didn't look good. Dude, Leon Edwards, also it hurts him that his only loss, or well, his most recent loss is to the champion. That's never good, right? Because people don't want to see it. People want to wonder if you can beat the champion, but if you already have an existing loss to the champion, that kind of mystique is gone a little bit. But he's gone on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fight win streak. And, the bigger names he defeated, Vicente Luque is a good name. Not the highest, he's not a top 5. Donald Cerrone's a good name, but not a top 5. Gunnar Nelson's a good name, but not a top 5. Rafael Dos Anjos back at lightweight, not a top 5. Former champion, that's probably the best win. But he hasn't had that amazing win. And one of the reasons why is because he just has trouble getting opponents. One, because he's a very tough guy, so a lot of people don't want to fight him. And two, because, let's call it how it is. I mean, Chael Sonnen also said it. He's kind of boring. His style is not that exciting. He's out here, beating people by decision. He's not submitting people. He's not knocking people out. He's not putting on fight of the night, bouts or anything like that. So that hurts his stock 100%. I don't know what should be next. I think that fight makes sense against Wonderboy. Wonderboy is a big name, former title challenger. It would probably, I would say, would be the biggest opponent he's ever fought. I think that makes sense. At some point, I'd like to see, I think, Jorge Masvidal and Leon Edwards, just because they have beef in history. But I feel like Leon Edwards, in order to first do that, he needs to raise his stock. So, and it's crazy. We're talking about a guy that's on an 8-fight win streak here. So, I think about with Wonderboy Thompson makes sense. Yeah. I know a few people have thrown out the idea, like yourself, Alex, and it makes the most sense. And frankly, Wonderboy also needs, opponents and needs big fights and fights that make sense and fights that are high up in the rankings. So Leon Edwards is the right guy. I think that's what makes the most sense. Shit, maybe put Neil Magny versus. No, I'm just kidding. No. Leon Edwards deserves better, certainly, than Neil Magny at this point in time. Yeah, I would say Stephen Thompson, Wonderboy. Makes complete sense. All right. Next question is by Amy Wee. And Amy Wee says, who's Nick going to fight? So, yeah. So, Amy Wee was the person that asked this question. Obviously, I'm reading it now earlier, and that's why I didn't answer it while I was talking about Nick Diaz. And I don't know. There's a few interesting options. First of all, let's not forget, a few months ago, Nick Diaz had that really weird interview with Ariel Helwani where he was like, I mean, he's always had some sort of speech issue where I wouldn't even say it's an issue, but maybe he's not the best at putting his ideas together. And also, he's not the best at just speech. He's not this eloquent guy that's going to sit there and sort of can recite poems to you or something like that. No. That's just not who Nick Diaz is. But in that specific interview, he did look a little bit more struggling a little bit more with his speech than ever before. So that was concerning to many people. Many people thought he needed some sort of medical or psychological evaluation before competing. Certainly, I'm not against that. Frankly, I think every fighter should have one after every war. Um, that's how you take care of your brain. You constantly hear of fighters experiencing depression and mood disorders after crazy wars, after fights. That's not good, man. And getting punched in the head is not a good thing for you. So yeah, I would say that for any fighter. So not specifically just towards Nick Diaz, but I think we should see more of that. But anyways, and then after that interview, it was released a few photos where, like, dude, there was just smoke everywhere. Like, basically, he was hotboxing the set by himself. And I don't know how Ariel didn't get high from secondhand smoke. I mean, a lot of smoke there. And anyway, so then people were just saying, oh, he was just high and that and this and that. And certainly, being pretty high can definitely fuck up the way you put your ideas together. So I understand that as well. But look, this is what I tell people: like, have the commission check on him, right? Have a good commission check on him, whether it's California or Nevada. Have him do whatever tests that need to be done, brain scans and all that. I mean, they do that all the time for fighters. And if it all checks out, he can fight. Has he probably had some damage because of fighting? Obviously, yes. But that shouldn't come to a surprise to anyone. I mean, that's very normal. You get hit in the head, you're going to have damage. And I feel like a lot of the times the media and fans are constantly protecting these fighters from that and telling them what they can do and cannot do. And I certainly appreciate the sentiment, and I think we should be, especially the commissions and these regulatory bodies. Even the UFC has some sort of responsibility as well for its fighters, the health of its fighters. But so certainly there needs to be stuff done towards that. But right off the bat, we need to understand that no matter what level of fighting you do, it's just not good for you, period. Not even a little bit. None of it is good for you. It's just getting hit is not good, period. And it's kind of like the situation of like smoking cigarettes. Smoking cigarettes is not good for you at all. Like fighting, not even a little bit. Oh, but maybe if I do once a week. No, smoking cigarettes is terrible for you. But are we going to ban cigarettes? No. People are adults and they're free to make their own decisions. And if that's what they're going to do and it goes against their well-being, well, that's what they choose to do. People choose to smoke cigarettes. People choose to eat fast food every day. Are we going to ban that? So again, I'm all for health and safety for the fighters, and there certainly needs to be precautions, and somebody that's extremely compromised shouldn't be stepping on the octagon. But at the same time, we can't expect that everyone that steps in the octagon has to be 100% or that everyone is always going to leave fights 100%. Like by default, fighting's bad for you. So if you do that long enough, you're going to have some consequences, period. So that's that. So anyways, I know I'm going on a little bit of a rant here. So I was just saying that just to say that I am for a return of Nick Diaz. Again, if all the medicals check out, I'm all for a return. There's fighters that have taken way more damage than he has and are still competing, and people are still vouching for them to compete. So I'm all for a Nick Diaz return. As far as who should he fight next, I think there's a couple of interesting options. I think the Robbie Lawler fight makes sense. Those two fought a while ago, like God knows how long ago, maybe like 10 years or something like that. Let me pull up his record. And currently, Robbie Lawler is a good name. He's someone that's obviously on a little bit of a decline. But, so yeah, I think it makes sense to revisit that rematch. I'm sure Robbie Lawler would want that back. I'm sure that Nick Diaz would want a big name and someone he respects in Robbie Lawler upon his return. He doesn't want to fight just Joe Smith, right? So it makes sense. It's a fight that makes sense for both. Now, leaving that sort of conversation, that potential bout, because I feel like that's the easy one that people throw. I would say also a fight with Diego Sanchez. Those two fought a while ago as well. They had a very entertaining fight. I encourage you guys to go on UFC Fight Pass and rewatch that. There was some bad blood. There's always been bad blood between Diego Sanchez and Nate Diaz. Why? I don't know. But at the same time, they also have this thing where it's like real recognize real, and there's always been a level of respect. I remember when Diego Sanchez fought Who did he fight? Ellenberger? What was his name? Yeah, Ellenberger. Was it Joe Ellenberger? No, that's the brother. Jake Ellenberger. So he fought Jake Ellenberger a while ago, and that was a fight where like, that it was that was when the UFC was just experimenting with making main events 5 rounds. So then they implemented the rule that main events should be 5 rounds, right? And then, they obviously don't want to catch any main eventers by surprise and be like, hey, guess what? We implemented this rule, and next week you're fighting 5 rounds instead of 3. So anyway, so they did a cutoff line, and the cutoff line was the Diego Sanchez versus Jake Ellenberger fight. After that, all fights would have been main events. They did it because they thought maybe it was a little bit of short notice, but it was right on the borderline. But just to be safe, they did it 3 rounds. So that was a main event of a fight night. Ellenberger wins the first round. Second round, towards the end of the second round, Diego Sanchez starts picking it up. Then Diego Sanchez dominates the third. And then it just felt like that fight needed 2 more rounds. And it looked like Diego Sanchez could have won those 2 following rounds. I mean, the momentum was certainly shifting his direction. But because of the nature of the 3-round fight, Jake Ellenberger was awarded the decision win. And I remember, I think it was either Nick or Nick Diaz. They went on Twitter and be like, yo, straight up, if this was a real fight, Diego Sanchez would have killed that man. There's always been a certain level of respect between those two because they know that, they're both fighters at heart. So anyways, I would love to see that fight. I mean, why not? Diego Sanchez has 4 fights left on his deal. He's fighting Jake Matthews in that Adesanya pay-per-view. And after that, he's got 3. He wants to do those 3 and dip out. So why not put him in some fun fights? Put him fights that make sense. Put him fights that kind of build his legacy a little bit. And also a great introduction for Nick Diaz to the welterweight division. So I would throw Diego Sanchez versus Nick Diaz as a fight that I would like to see. Maybe a Carlos Condit one. That fight makes sense as well. The first one was very controversial. I mean, till this day, people are commenting on YouTube videos. Nick Diaz, what is it? 1-2 or 2-3 and 5 or something like that. I don't even know what they're commenting, but there's definitely a thing there. So I'd like to see those 3: Carlos Condit, Robbie Lawler, or Diego Sanchez. And then that's when we're gonna know if Nick Diaz is still competitive with the best or not. Obviously, they're not the best, but if he does a good job and has a really good performance, then maybe you can put him against the top 5 and have him in some meaningful fights as far as the title picture goes. So that's how I would matchmake Nick Diaz. Ben, buenos dias, Danny. Buenos dias, Ben. You're enjoying my Colombian coffee in my World Cup 2018 World Cup mug from Russia that my friend brought to me. Corrupted Peanut. Hello, Danny. Keep up your good work. Watching from Nottingham, England. Let's go. Also, James to Everton. Bro, I'm so happy about that. James has been stressing me out because for a while I just felt like he was content with being a Real Madrid player and sitting on the bench, making big money, chilling in Madrid. You know what I'm saying? Having a good time, partying, whatever. But I feel like going to Everton is signaling like, okay, I'm taking this shit seriously again, and I want to, have a legacy in the sport and do something meaningful. So him and Ancelotti always have gone along. Ancelotti respects him very much, gives him some playing time. So and that's what James needs, man. He needs playing time. He needs to be starting 11. He's not a bench. He's got so much potential. After that World Cup, he had then an amazing first season at Real. Then Zidane came through and just benched him. And yeah, so anyways, random little rant there, but shout out to James Rodriguez. I hope he does well. New cam lights looking good, Danny. So the camera's still the same. I took out all my equipment from New York and brought it here to Florida. I'm riding out winter in Florida. I don't want to be with COVID-19 and winter in New York. I ain't trying to do that. So I came to South Florida. And I relocated, brought all my equipment. I do have a new set of lights. It's not really new. I already had it here existing in Florida. I'm back with my parents for a little bit. So I had a lot of old equipment that I had here that I didn't take to New York. So I was, going through boxes and setting up. I'm still not 100% set up here. And I will be using the rest of today to handle certain things. So this whole thing will improve. But anyways, one of the improvements was some of the lighting that I got, which naturally, and I always tell people this when people are like, oh, I really want a good camera, I want to start streaming this and that. The camera is important, but not that much. The lighting is what's important. Good lighting can make an average camera come off great. If you have shitty lighting, it'll make a really good camera be shitty. Simple as that. So obviously the camera does something and it's important, but the lighting is the most important part to a photo shoot or to a video shoot. So anyways, so yeah, I got more lighting now, and more things I'm gonna put some stuff here. I kind of like the blankness, so when I put the questions here, that it looks nice. But I'm gonna put some stuff here. I got some more mixed martial arts memorabilia from little action figures. I'll put some of my Atletico Madrid scar. I still have the Colombian scarf from the MMA hour set. I took that. It was Luke, and he allowed me to take it. I also have an aguardiente bottle from that set. That's the aguardiente that Luke and I drank on the first episode and on the last episode of the MMA hour. So that aguardiente, not the best. It's kind of cheap. I've drank a lot of it. I've had pre-COVID, I've had some parties and drank some of it. But anyways, I left just enough because that aguardiente has a little bit of significance. So I'll put that aguardiente somewhere up here. I'll put some shelves or something. So anyways, this whole setup, I told you guys since the beginning, this whole shit's going to improve. This whole setup, this whole experience is going to get better. So again, just bear with me. I'm a busy man. I got a podcast. I got a full-time job with MMA fighting, MMAjunkie.com. So, I'm busy. So, but this whole experience will improve and more changes are coming. So bear with me. All right. Josh Edwards. What up, Danny? My boy Kamaworthy's fighting this weekend. What is your breakdown of the fight? So, to be quite honest with you, I know he's fighting this weekend, but I don't know against who. Dude, the UFC has been having events every single weekend, and I'm not hating on that. I certainly appreciate it, but all I'm saying is that it's hard to keep up. I mean, there's so many bouts falling through because of COVID, so many like late-minute replacements, so many newcomers, so it's just kind of hard to pick up. So he's fighting Ottoman Azaitar. To be quite honest with you, I don't know much about that individual. But I do know that Kamaworthy is a savage. Okay, yeah, no, I know Omar. Yeah. He's a solid fighter. He's already been competing in the UFC for, I think he's only had like one fight. Yeah, one fight. He looked decent. I don't quite remember his UFC debut. I remember it was in the Khabib card of UFC 242. It was a first round knockout apparently. So, I mean, it promises it should be good. But I can't give you honestly a prediction on that because, although I remember Omar and I believe he has a brother that fights as well. I don't exactly know his skill set 100%, and I haven't studied him, so it's hard for me to give you a prediction. But it should be a good fight. I mean, that guy certainly can hit hard, good athlete, and Kamaworthy, you can say the same thing for him. So looking forward to that fight. Terrence, my boy, with the donation on the super chat. Thank you so much. Shouts out to you, sir. Terrence says, Edward only fought one person in the top 10. Why is he getting a title fight? Is it a bad look for him or flat out say he won't fight Wonderboy? Is it a bad look for him to flat out say he won't fight Wonderboy? Dude, yeah, you're right. You're right, Terrence. He's only beaten one person in the top 10. That doesn't get you a title shot, but he is on an 8-fight win streak. And the reason why he's on an 8-fight win streak is because people in the top 5 won't take fights with him. Or people in the top 10 won't take fights with him. So that's an issue within itself. Why? Because he's very skilled and he doesn't have a big name. Now, if he were knocking fools out left and right and making big noise in the division, like a Mike Perry or some others, right, that have made, sort of big statements, perhaps not the highest rank, perhaps not the longest win streaks, but they've made big statements. People are willing to fight those guys because, again, there's hype and it's a big fight, etc. Leon Edwards just hasn't been able to generate that. So that's what's cost him. So if he can't fight top 5, he just ends up fighting or people outside of the top 10 and these other names that are good, but they're not elite. So it's kind of what came first, right? The chicken or the egg? Same thing. Like, yes, he only has one win in the top 10, but it's because nobody in the top 10 or top 5 wants to fight him. But why? Because he doesn't make statements, etc. So it's just a tough situation for him. I think he should take the Wonder Boy fight. He really should. If he sits out, it's not going to be good for him. Maybe he gets the winner of Woodley versus Colby, but even then, I just feel like they're going to be angling for big fights as well. All around is just a very tough situation for him. So, anyways, we got about 10 minutes left here. Let's see. Okay. Ben, I don't know if this is a question or not. I haven't even read it. Oh, cute picture, by the way. Is that your dog? My dog's somewhere around here. Anyways, Danny, I'm currently learning Spanish and have listened to every one of your Hablemos MMA podcast episodes, some multiple times, Chito Javier. My question is, once I'm fluent enough to have a conversation... Oh, there's a part 2. Can I interview you in Spanish? Won't take a lot of time, 10 minutes max. If not, it's all good. Love the content, man. Yeah, of course. Look, if you guys have... I know not everyone is... And my computer's running out of battery here as it's charging. This is hilarious. Old computer. But anyways, this thing might actually shut down at any point in time. So I'm just going to try to push for the 11 a.m. mark and hope that this thing doesn't run out of battery. But anyways, if you guys... I know a lot of you guys are fans. That's awesome. I appreciate it. Not only of my content, but just of the sport, right? Awesome. But I know some of you guys as well have podcasts and work for maybe smaller sites or whatever. Dude, if you guys ever want to sit down and interview me for whatever reason, not that I feel like I need to be interviewed or anything like that, feel free to reach out to me. You can email me at Danny Segura TV at gmail.com, or you can reach out to me via Instagram, send me a DM. I have it comes in as a request and I check those every now and then. So, I'll whenever you do become fluent in Spanish, Ben, and yeah, whenever you guys need a guest for anything or whatever, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always down to do stuff like that. I think it's cool. So, and it's an honor for me to get invited and for people to want to talk to me. So it's very cool. So I appreciate that. All right, this one's interesting. Float around the internet a bit. So, would you rather have Kevin Lee's belly button or Brock Lesnar phallic chest hat? I'm gonna go with Kevin Lee's belly button. Is his belly button that weird? I know it sticks out, right? But I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's that weird. Certainly it's not your average belly button, but I wouldn't say it's hideous or anything like that. It's just a weird belly button. Not a big deal about it. Whereas Brock Lesnar's phallic chest hat, that is certainly, I don't fuck with that at all. I like to wear, I'm a man of leisure sometimes, and I work from home, so I get to be. And so I get to, wear chill, relaxed clothing. And I like kind of having sometimes Hawaiian shirts or just, more loose fitting shirts that I can just put, button up 2 buttons and that's it and be chill and kind of display my full on chest muscle, right? And I certainly wouldn't want a phallic chest tattoo, right there. I just wouldn't want it. So I'm going to go with Kevin Lee's belly button. Now we got a spammer. What the fuck? No Conor versus Nick. I'm good. Maybe. I don't know. Do the trilogy first between Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor. And then maybe we'll talk. But Right now, I have no interest for Conor Nick. Look, I have some interest, I'll say, in Nick Anderson Silva. I mean, the first fight ended in a no contest. Obviously, Silva was on some stuff, or he claims not to be. But I'm for that fight. Why not? Maybe it's different nowadays. So you chose South Florida, LOL. What do you mean? I didn't choose anything. I left New York temporarily. I'm gonna come back to New York eventually after winter. But trust me, I don't want to be in New York for winter. Um, and it's not really relating about the COVID, to be honest. I mean, in Florida, there's so much more space. If you can avoid people and you're not an essential worker, you can go on your regular life without seeing anybody for quite some time. That's how much space there is in South Florida. In New York, you got people 24/7 in your face the moment you stepped out of your apartment. And also, once winter hits, people don't understand this, but all the outdoor dining and outdoor bars and sort of the parks and all the activities that's available in New York, which is all outdoors, that's all going to be gone because of the snow and the miserable weather. So you're literally going to be just stuck inside an apartment 24/7. Where if I'm down here in South Florida, I can go on runs, the weather's nice, I can go to the beach, and again, I can avoid people fairly easily because there's so much space. Everyone's always in their cars. If you catch COVID in South Florida, you're a fucking idiot. You're an idiot. You're an idiot, and you don't give a fuck about the pandemic, really. The only reason someone could catch COVID in South Florida is if you're an essential worker or your boss is making you work. But if you're lucky enough to work from home and you live in South Florida, there's no reason why you should get COVID-19. No reason. Because, again, there's so much space. You can literally go. There's so many parks. You can go, run, work out, and not see anybody. But if you're catching COVID-19 and you're working from home, it's because you're going to bars, you're partying, you're not wearing masks, you're hanging out with, big gatherings in small places, etc. Again, the outbreak of South Florida, it's kind of hard to understand. Like it's very avoidable, very avoidable. Bro, F this guy spamming the fucking thing. All right, I'll answer. Dude, just stop spamming. I'm not gonna say your name because you've been spamming. Josh Edwards asking something here, but I don't really get the question. All right. Again, if you have any questions, throw them on the live chat, and I'll address those right now. We are coming to an end here of this live Q&A. So, this is a nice question, Amy Wee. Dude? Because you're spamming, I can't really see everybody's questions, bro. I swear, if you keep spamming, I'm gonna ban you or block you, whatever it is. Amy Wee, how does Hachiko like Florida? So it's been a big change for him. Obviously, because it's a lot warmer here. He's been shedding a lot more. So kind of shedding his coat because he doesn't need a thick coat. And also because, there's lizards everywhere here. If you've ever been to South Florida, lizards are like mosquitoes or flies. It's very normal. Like you step outside and they're in the street walking around. They're on your car. They're in the bushes, they're on the walls. Lizards are everywhere in South Florida. And that's new for him. So like he's walking and like he sees a lizard and he's kind of like a hunter dog a little bit, like a hunting dog. So he's just like all over the place spamming out trying to catch lizards. And now he's like a little bit more chill about it. Like he's a little bit more used to it. So he might do it occasionally, but like he might let, a lizard sort of slide by. But when we first got here, when I first got here, he was just constantly just looking for the lizards. He also saw a duck today when I walked him in the morning. He's never seen a duck in New York. So he was just like, wait, what is that? And he was like all cautious, and then he kind of wanted to approach it. So yeah, all new things for him, but I'm looking forward to taking him to the beach. He's never been to the beach, so I wonder if he'll like it. He hates the water, but he likes digging and dirt and sand. So Maybe it'll be a mixed bag. Maybe I don't know. But I took him to a lake once in New York or Pennsylvania. Actually, I went to a road trip, um, and he didn't like the water. He didn't like the water, so I don't think he'll like the ocean either. But maybe he likes the beach. Let me see if there are other questions here. Jesus Christ, this guy spams so hard. So yeah, trust me, South Florida is way better off than New York as far as COVID goes. COVID life. Because again, I work from home. I just need to be home. I can literally just step out my door and start running. Don't see anybody. I got tons of space. I'm in a car, going places. I don't have to take the subway, train, be with people. If you work from home and you live in South Florida, there's no reason why you should get COVID-19. If you get it, it's because you're being ignorant and reckless. That's just the facts. Oh, okay. See, I didn't see his question because of the spamming. But Nicholas Thompson throwing an interesting question, or maybe he just threw it. I seen people say Nick Diaz versus Dan Hardy. Would you like Dan Hardy comeback? I know he has been getting back to serious training. Look, I want to see Dan Hardy back. I mean, I'm not dying to see Dan Hardy back, but I think it'd be interesting. I'm curious to see how he looks after being away from the sport like 10 years. I don't even know how long, but it's been a really long time. Might be 8 years. I'm curious to see how he looks. Certainly, he's changed as a person. He's no longer that crazy guy with the red mohawk that's, it just seems like I would expect him to be a different fighter. I really do. From his style, from his skills, and also just from his poise and character in there. I expect him to be a different fighter. So that would be kind of interesting to watch, and I'd like to see what he has left in the tank. So, yeah, I'd like to see a Dan Hardy comeback. But, and against Nick Diaz, I think it makes sense. I think actually it'd be a fun fight. Actually, a lot of people have not been throwing that suggestion around. I think it's a fantastic suggestion, Nicholas Thompson. I think you're onto something. That's a perfect fight, actually. Have them both come back and fight each other. Why not? I think it'll be a fun striking bout. All I want to see is, look, Dan Hardy has been saying he's going to be doing a comeback for how many years now? I mean, it's been forever. It's been quite, I don't want to say it's tiring, but like, look, if you're going to come back, come back. That's all I'm going to say. If you're going to come back, come back. But it's kind of like the Ricardo Arona. I don't know if you guys remember Ricardo Arona, but like he like stopped fighting, and then every year it was like, I'm always going to come back. I'm going to come back. I'm going to do a comeback next year. And next year would come around. Next year. And he never did. And it's just, as a media member, it's kind of tiring. But look, if you're going to come back, come back. And I think that's a fantastic suggestion. Nick Diaz versus Dan Hardy. I think that's a good fight. Last question, and I'm out of here. JP, who do you have next for Amanda Nunes at bantamweight? Pretty simple. If Irene Aldana gets past Holly Holm, I want to see Irene Aldana versus Amanda Nunes. I think it's a fight that makes sense. I think it's a fight that's actually pretty good given the styles. I think Aldana is very big for the weight class, very long, very rangy. Her boxing is some of the best in that division. I don't want to say it's better than Nunes. I think Nunes' overall striking is better, but just pure boxing, Aldana's might be better. It's just very crisp, very technical, sticks to her guns the entire time, never loses composure or anything like that, even if the fight starts getting tough on her. Last bout, knocking out Caitlin Vieira in the first round, clearly evolving, clearly getting better as a fighter. So if we see a spectacular performance against Holly Holm, maybe a knockout or just a full-out display of outstriking Holm, who's very good on the feet, certainly that Aldana versus Holm versus Nunes fight is going to be very interesting. So I think that's it. If Holly Holm wins, I don't know if I want to see Holly Holm versus Amanda Nunes again. But certainly if Irene Aldana wins, I'd love to see Nunes versus Aldana. I think that is a great question. All right, this is the last question by Ben. You got to go. Last question, you got to go. Chicken wings, pizza, burgers, or tacos? Pizza all day, baby. Actually, fuck. I don't know. It's between pizza or burgers. All right, I'm out of here. Again, please give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Share this. I'll retweet you if you do. Tell your friends about it. trying to spread this thing out so we can make this thing bigger. I appreciate the people that donated to the super chat. Very much appreciate that. And also just everyone that submitted questions via Twitter and via the YouTube live chat. So again, next week I'll be back Tuesday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern. Same setup. Again, things are improving, my people. Things are improving, mi gente. So hang tight. I'll have some other stuff over here. Some other cool stuff. We'll have some cool stuff set up, and some other things are in the works as well. So again, just hang tight. Things are gonna get better, and that's it. Hope you guys have a very good weekend or week, I should say, and enjoy the fights this weekend. All right, see you Tuesday.